Protesters on the streets of Cairo are calling it the Last Chance Friday. The message is simple. This is the final opportunity for Egypt's ruling military council to live up to the people's aspirations of a democratic future. Friday, a weekly Muslim prayer day, is being described as the biggest day yet in a week of protests and violence. At least 41 people have been killed already this week as security forces clash with stone-throwing protesters. The generals who have governed Egypt since the toppling of President Hosni Mubarak in February are facing a major challenge to their authority. Activists who accuse them of trying to cling to power have once again turned Tahrir Square into a center of mass demonstrations. In response to the uprising, the cabinet of Prime Minister Essam Sharaf resigned this week. The ruling army council named Kamal Ganzouri to head a national salvation government. But the 78-year-old can be seen as politically tainted because he served under the dictator Mubarak in the late 1990s. After his appointment was confirmed, Tahrir Square quickly echoed with an insulting slogan about Sharaf and Ganzouri. "They brought a thief and appointed another thief," the crowd chanted. Now we take you to the streets of Cairo to speak with some of the protesters who offer their take on the appointment.
Oh my God, what bad news. Will we never end with the old guard? They immediately go for 70 and 80-year-olds. And the youth, they have no chance at all. We're standing here and so many people have died so that in the end we get Kamal Ganzouri. It's bad news.
He's a man with a good reputation and he served the country and he was oppressed by the previous regime. So I think he will serve us and stand with us and help us. But at the same time, if anything bad happens, the people will gather here at the square and they know where to come to get rid of any person and say that's good and that's bad.
The United States called on the generals to step aside as soon as possible and give real power to the new cabinet immediately. The military rulers say they are working on a transition of power, including parliamentary elections set for Monday. But the elections, dubbed as Egypt's first free vote in decades, could be overshadowed if violence continues. The streets of central Cairo were battle zones this week, with police firing tear gas, pellets and rubber bullets. Human rights groups condemned security forces for heavy-handed tactics, including shooting at protesters' heads. But a truce between the protesters and police came into effect on Thursday, with demonstrators erecting barricades to prevent further attacks. Now we take you back to downtown Cairo to hear from some of those behind the makeshift barbed wire fences.
With God's help, since 2:30 a.m. there have not been any clashes with the Interior Ministry or the Army. We have created this barrier because of bloodshed and the injuries that have now exceeded 3,000 people. And the number of those killed is now more than 50, so we had to create this barricade.
God willing, this truce will continue as it is now. I can see that everyone is standing together without any disagreement, regardless of their beliefs. And we are here waiting, because if anyone gets through and does anything, there could be problems.
Egypt's military was once hailed for its role in easing Mubarak out of power, but it has come under increasing fire for dragging out a handover to civilian rule, even as the country's economy falters. It has promised to accelerate the timetable for a transfer of power to a civilian president and pledged that parliamentary elections will start on Monday. The Muslim Brotherhood, which expects to do well in the election, says the vote must go ahead. But many protesters do not trust the military to oversee a clean vote, and some scorn the Brotherhood for its focus on gaining seats in parliament.